Thank you everyone for jumping in. Very excited to kick off today. I'll just kind of jump right into it and kind of introduce everyone, set the scene a little bit. I'm Hytham, as you guys know. I'm the executive producer at I'dHire.me. Today, I'm very excited that we have Jake Dunlap with us. I've known Jake for many years. He's a sales leader in the community that I respect a lot. He puts out a lot of really great content about sales and marketing, and he's really like at the forefront of emerging trends. And I think you guys and all of us will learn a lot from him. Jake, as you know, we've been doing these sessions over the past few weeks with our candidates that are looking to get into jobs in sales and marketing. And we're inviting leaders like yourself to jump in and help us apply some best practices that have worked for you throughout your career and things that you see working with your clients and otherwise to the candidate's job search. So I think what could be helpful is for me to just tell you kind of what I know about each of the candidates, and then maybe we can start to like focus in on each person's situation one by one. But at the end of the day, you know, want this to be like an open conversation so you can lead it however you want. Sound good?
Cool, let's do it. And I've got all your LinkedIn profiles over here too. He sent them to me ahead of time so I can try to give some insights there. And I think, you know, what would be awesome is just tell me, you know, where you're at. You know, tell me what you're, you know, trying to get into. Tell me a little bit about kind of your current situation, and that'd be great. And then we can just dive in.
So yeah, Jordan, why don't you start? Because I know that you have like a job-related thing coming up, and you might jump off a little bit earlier. You are kind of on the hunt for your next AE role. You were most recently at Mixpanel, and would just love to hear more from you about how things are going. And
yeah, so actually the thing that I've found to be maybe the most difficult is I'm actually looking to move more into account management. And oftentimes I feel like it's kind of hard to do when you're trying to do that in a new role. So at Mixpanel, I did move into an account management role called relationship management. And I was in that for the last 5 months. So I guess my challenge is the fact of the matter is like I've done so much account management work throughout all of my times in AE. I've done a lot of hybrid roles, right? But there's sort of this distrust or, you know, concern about not having as much direct experience. So I find it a bit frustrating because I know I can do the job and I've done the job, but just kind of having that title has been a bit hard for me to overcome not having that for a long period of time, basically.
Is anyone else trying to change it up a little bit? Is anyone else? Lucy, you're trying to change it up a little bit? Okay, tell me about what you're trying to get into.
So I have a pretty diverse background. I went from an account management role, and that was selling to the government through, you know, Imix Group. Then I went to work for a defense contractor, jumped back into sales. And then while I was at ClassPass, it was technically a sales partnerships role, but there was actually no fee or cost to become, you know, a part of ClassPass. However, I had a monthly quota. I had to successfully launch my markets, and I had to get a certain, you know, tier. So it was very sales-esque, but also very relationship heavy.
Right.
And, you know, managing my market. And then I went to solutions consultant role, which was also full sales cycle, very relationship heavy. So I'm looking to get more into an account management role like Jordan, just because that's the part that I enjoy the most.
Okay.
However, you know, I still do like sales because I like, you know, the aggressive piece, but I think my favorite part that I've figured out is relationship management. I love being in front of people, talking to people, and that's kind of what I'm like looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, like, look, I think the key is like good account management is a growth mindset. Like you're always looking for ways to grow. You know, when I was, you know, building teams, you know, for me, especially in the early days, I want an account management group that's hungry, that's looking for like, okay, what did this account do? Let me understand your business. So the skills are super transferable. So let me just share my screen real quick here. Okay. All right. So Jordan, you're on the spot. Okay. So there's a couple of things here that I would think about. There's nothing in your LinkedIn profile that tells me that you know shit about account management. And so the very first thing every single manager is going to go look at is not your resume, it's your LinkedIn profile, because we're lazy. And right now, like there's no back here, you know, there's no image behind. You guys could go on, you can go on Canva and create an image, guys, in like 20, 30 minutes. That's like more of your personality of like who you are, like serving clients, whatever, you know, like you can think about what that means. You don't have a summary section, you know, where it's like, who is, you know, because what you want to do, Jordan, is you need to reposition your work as the work you did that was relationship manager focused. So, you know, again, if I'm Jordan, I'm like, you know, it's Jordan Powell. I love two things: retaining customers and growing relationships. Boom, boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, boom. Here's like more about me, but it needs to be more customer success focused. Same thing here.
Right.
You're kind of explaining what the company did. This should be about you serving customers. So you need to go through and spend like 3 hours on your LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
This
I
alone is
probably
going
have
to,
all this information on my resume, so I probably can take a lot of it from there. I
perfect.
haven't really devoted much time to my LinkedIn, but I think that I have the, the information in my resume that I could probably transfer here.
And just be smart about it, right? Like be smart about
Yeah.
how you talk about growth, how you talk about what you're doing, etc. The other thing, let me just see if you're putting out any content. All right.
I had a post that kind of went viral.
3 weeks. Yeah.
I'm not putting out content though, for the most part.
Work.
Yeah. So
2
that
rounds
was
of
my
interviews.
big post.
One of the things that Jake mentioned that I think a lot of times does get taken for granted is kind of putting the words on your LinkedIn in terms of what you've done for other people versus even what your company is doing or what you accomplish in your role. Just kind of speaking in the terms of what you've done for other people can really go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, that you can have that in your summary section in particular. The other thing is that, yeah, shit. I mean, God, before that, you hadn't posted in a year. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, one,
I haven't really
change this again. And it's like, well, do you want to be an account executive or an account manager? Like, you got to make up your mind.
Yeah.
Like right now, like there's nothing that I want to hear less than anything. Well, I'm open to both. Like that means you're open to neither. Like for me, if you're go for the job, you go all in. You know, if that's really what you want, I get it. Like times are tough, and like I'll never tell someone you got to do what you got to do from time to time to make money, right? And so I don't want to hate on you for that. So here's what I would do, Jordan. You'd make the changes. I'd start putting out at least a post a week, or I'd write an article on LinkedIn about the top 3 things everyone needs to know about account growth. So the top 4 things that everyone needs to know about customer retention. The top 4 things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Put that out, and then guess what I'm gonna then. So I want you to first. What I'd love for you to do is write an article first, because I think an article. I'm just gonna show you. This kid's an SDR. This kid Lior, and so this is what this kid does, and it's super applicable to prospecting for jobs the same way. So he writes these little articles, these little 800-word articles that are relevant to his industry. This one's like a top 10 list because he sells into legal. And what do you think he does? What do you think he forwards to people when he connects on, like once he connects? Hey, I know you're looking for CS. Here's an article I wrote about it. Immediately people are like, oh, Jordan wrote an article about this. Wow. That's pretty interesting. You know?
Yeah.
So I think you've got to start to build your street cred digitally of you as an account manager. Right now, it's not there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think this is going to help you to cut through the noise real quick.
Yep. That's great.
You know, update the summary, update the work, and then I want you to write at least 1 or 2 posts this week and write 1 article. And even you could even turn one of the posts into an article. But again, talk about what you know about account growth. Talk about what you know about account management. You know, start to reposition your digital presence as a leader here. So that would be my big thing for you. You know, is that make sure the world knows what you've done. And then did Mixpanel just lay people off? Is that what happened? They just
25%.
25%.
Rough.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you're gonna. So the other thing you're up is going to be at. Well, I mean, look, you're adrift for like a year and 7 months. That's not, that's not too bad. And obviously this COVID happened, so there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like I mean, everyone asks about why I was at Samsara for so short, and you kind of just have to explain it away. But
yeah,
I certainly would like to have had longer.
Yeah, you make sure you link Samsara. Like, it's not linked.
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't link. That's actually.
I'm not sure. There could have been someone else that like built a one that's not the real.
Yeah, like
one.
a fake Samsara.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think the people that confront it head on are fine. It's like just about talking about it. Because the other thing that I'm going to ask you, like I'm going to tell you this is for me, I've hired hundreds and hundreds of sales people and CS people. I'm going to know what's your career. Like my biggest question for you is what's your career path? Because more so than Samsara, I'm like, all right, I've been an account executive for 2 years, 8 months, 1 year. So we're talking about 4.5 years roughly of being an account executive. If
Yeah.
I'm thinking about hiring you, Jordan, my number one flag that I would be asking, and then if I go to loop up, right, we're talking about 6-7 years here.
Yeah.
What's your trajectory? And what is your, because again, for me, growth mindset's important. For me, growth, coachability are important. And so the things that I'm going to look for, and again, I would think about how you position your job titles here is like, what's the growth arc story? And can I quickly understand that? Or do I have to talk to you to understand it?
I see. Yeah.
What's the story your resume tells me to where these were step ups? These weren't just that you made 4-5 lateral moves. That to me is a flag, no chance you get hired. If someone's made 5 lateral moves, no chance I'm hiring them. 0. And I'm just telling you because it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who want the next step, the next step, the next step. And look, we can't always control what happens. You start to tell the story a little bit here, like here in Nitro.
Yeah.
Like SMB here, commercial. I think you just need a little bit more of that arc about what you're trying to do, where you want to be.
Out a bit more to show, like obviously they've been different jobs, and I think it's more just kind of explaining it because I don't think that this does tell.
That's it, right? Because the account executive means this. I don't know.
Sure.
It could be that you've been a mid-market account executive for 7 years. It could be that you've gotten into enterprise sales and you're closing whale deals, right? Like whatever it is, it's okay. And like the truth, don't worry about it. Like it is what it is. But that's going to be the big question I'm going to have for you is like, can you quickly show me the arc of your career, like why you've made the decision? Is there something that you can put in here that will help? So Lucy, let's pull up yours. Does that help, Jordan?
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. I honestly I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but mostly just kind of perusing through.
I know,
so
I can see it.
I need to do a bit of work on my own brand here.
That's right. And you had that post, it's like you had this post that did really well and you followed it up with wah, wah. There's nothing, not like, like that's awesome. Like again, people can relate to people sharing, but I want you to now start to share customer success stuff. I want you to share, show me your stuff. Show me what's up with customer success. Lucy, very similar feedback for you too. Right?
I was ready for it.
You're like, yeah, I already know. The other, actually here, I'm just going to go back to this too. You've got 1,600 followers. Lucy, you've got 973. Every morning, I would be connecting with 50 new customer success leaders. So that would be the other thing that I would be doing here. And if you all don't have LinkedIn Premium, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this just by doing some basic search stuff in LinkedIn. But you need to start to grow your networks. You know what I mean? Like over time, like that needs to be a focus. So that would be my first thing. That's easy. That's tactical. Looking to leverage.
Do you send a personal message every time, Jake?
No, never. No, don't waste your time. Don't send a personal message. If it's to a hiring manager after you've connected with like 6 people on their team, then I'd send a message or something. But no, only if it was like a person I really, really, really wanted to connect with. I don't have time for that. I'd rather just try to connect with 50. Because here's how I explain it. If you have Sales Navigator, I can connect with 82 people in 12 minutes. In that same 12 minutes, I can write 4 customized messages. So let's say my acceptance rate's blind because I've got a good headshot and I've got a good tagline is 50%. Let's say my acceptance rate with personalized is 60%, 75%. My network over time, your network over time. I win.
Yep.
I win by like an exponential scale. So if it's somebody you really want to get in touch with, sure, go for it. But if not, then no, I wouldn't.
But you said it. The headline is the grabber. That's your landing page essentially.
Yeah, so Lucy, Lucy, passionate about working with mid-market and enterprise companies to manage their business and grow their clients. Same thing for you, Jordan. Yours is a senior relationship panel. It's like, what do you do? What's the impact that you drive forward with? Because that's all people see. Like your headshot's good. Lucy, yours is fine. Yours is fine too. It's not bad. But you both do need something here. Like this thing is gross. So, summary section, same feedback. Again, tell me about you as a relationship builder. Don't call out that you're making a transition. The only person on the planet Earth that knows you're making a transition is your mom and dad and you. Nobody else knows shit about what you've done. So call out and show, like, I want to know this person knows their stuff. I want to know this person knows relationship management. This person knows what they're talking about. So just highlight this stuff. That's my kind of feedback there. Similar feedback, you just need to beef these up. What did you do? Tell the story about the relationship management, tell the story about what you did. But yeah, same feedback. Start to talk about customer success. Start to talk about what you know about working with clients. Start to talk about how you know how to grow clients. Start sharing advice and tactics on growing relationships and maintaining clients.
I have a question about that too. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been a fitness instructor for, going on 6 years. I've opened new studios. I've had some of the highest utilization and retention rate from different markets, from DC, Virginia, Maryland, all the way to New York. And, I've received different feedback like, no, you're not just a fitness coach. And agreed, I'm not. It's a side hustle. However, I do feel like there are transferable skills. I'm face to face. I'm dealing with so many different personalities and able to grow my own, client base. So, should that be something I put on my resume? Right now I have it under just interests, but I mean, I do.
Well, it's
feel
here
like
too. I mean, it's obviously here that you've been a coach at Solid Core for 5 years. It depends on how you bring it up, and it depends on the hiring manager. I don't have a one size fits all for you on this. There's certain hiring managers that love people with side hustles. That's not the majority though. The
Right.
majority of sales managers hate side hustles. Not correct, by the way, right? Not like I have no problem with people that have a side hustle as long as they're dedicated from the hours they need to be, right?
Mhm.
And that's fine. You want to find a company that appreciates that and values that as well too. So I think you could bring a little bit of it into it. But if you're working for a job in software, I'm gonna want to know your understanding of how to grow a mid-market company versus just the person-to-person skills.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, I think you can bring it in, but it would be like 80-20. 80% is highlighting, I get this. I know what relationship management looks like at this level. The other 20% is more about your ability to interact one-to-one. That's probably how I would loop it in.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and you could do some fun content around it too. You could talk about like how being a fitness coach is like being an account manager, like that would be fun. Like you could do something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with that.
And with, ClassPass, we were responsible for launching our new markets and, finding the top, studios for that market to make it successful. It's not necessarily, software, it's a, consumer app. How do you frame that when you're trying to transition more into a SaaS or?
I would just highlight the things that are most relevant
Okay.
to a relationship manager role.
Okay.
Like I manage the onboarding and retention of, via our SaaS, via our software, because I mean, ClassPass is a software solution too, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I would just think about how can you highlight the parts of the job that you did that were relationship manager focused.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, I think so for both of you, it's producing content and cleaning this up. Yeah. This is probably what's dinging both of you, is like both of you, a hiring manager goes and looks at this, again, like let's just say with Lucy, for example, I'm just going to Google your name. For a lot of you, LinkedIn's going to be your number one search result too. So
I guess
like,
I have a popular name.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I could see that. Like Jordan Powell, maybe not as much.
Yeah, not so common. Oh wait, no, there's
Composer.
a composer. He's Canadian. I forgot about him.
Jordan Powell. You should, yeah, you could have fun with that. Oh, there you are.
Hey.
There you are.
Oh, there I am.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, anyway, well, for the rest of you, then that's what they're going to do, right? They're going to go to LinkedIn and they're going to enter your name, once they realize they can't Google it. So that's my high level for you two. I think for both of you, and then, as you go through it, let me just go back to Lucy. Are you using LinkedIn at all to DM hiring managers, or how are you using it to interact with people?
I'm using it right now really just to look and research. I have like almost 2 screens, but not 2 screens of like Crunchbase and LinkedIn to look for companies.
Yeah, great.
And then from there, kind of look at the jobs that are available and see if there's any that, match kind of what I'm looking for, like anything that's relationship focused, account management, and, require heavy focus also on sales and growth. That's kind of what I'm looking for right now. I've only really DM'd about maybe 3 hiring managers. asking just for more of like an informational, like FaceTime or call to hear more, but nothing like too aggressive yet.
Okay. Jordan, Justin, what about you two?
I mean, I just use it here and there, I guess. I mean, I have a lot of, I got a lot of messages from that LinkedIn post, like a ton. So I've been communicating with a lot of people just kind of from that on LinkedIn, because this is the only way that I know those people. But I've got messages from a bunch of recruiters and stuff too. So chat with them on there, but that's kind of it.
Okay. All right.
I've DM'd a good number. I've been using a lot of different resources because I'm somewhat new to the tech space. So I've been using, VC portfolio searches, angel.co. I've been using LinkedIn, sending direct messages in some cases, and in some cases not, if I can't find talent acquisition manager or hiring manager.
Okay. Yeah. Step one is don't message anyone in talent acquisition. Don't just stop immediately. Right? You want to email the hiring manager. You want to find out, or like the family of those people, right? So if I'm going after a customer success job, I'm going to go find director of customer success. Now here, let me tell you about the DM and where the gaps might be. So this is a business plan that I wrote when I got my job with the Phoenix Coyotes that I put together in the interview process, which basically was like a 4-page dossier about how I would do the job. What do I perceive as the difficulties of selling hockey in Phoenix, Arizona, and how I would combat selling against the Suns and other resources that were more popular. So if you're DMing somebody and you're not saying, here's what excites me about your space, and all you have to do is go to G2, you can literally copy and paste in the company, go to G2, look at who their competition is, look at their feature set, and do something custom. Hey, Jordan, the reason I'm reaching out to you directly, I can imagine being in customer success against this, here's probably some of the challenges that you're facing. Show me that you know what the hell I do in advance. This is how I would get a job. If I were job searching today and I didn't have a network, if I was trying to completely change jobs, I would be demonstrating. I would take the extra 10 minutes, 20 minutes, because then and that goes back to that's where I'm going to spend my time researching, not the connection request, necessarily. So that's what I would be spending my time doing. If I really liked this job at this company, and I'd send it to 3 hiring managers at the same company. I wouldn't send it to 1, I'd send it to 3. And if I knew that there was especially if there's like an SVP, I'd send it to the SVP, and then I'd send it to 2 people like director or manager level. Because they're not talking about, oh, did you get that message from Jordan Powell today? Oh, no. They're
different messages. You would send the same message.
Similar message. Yeah, almost the exact same. Because they're not talking. You think, again, if it is a mid-sized company, they get lots of DMs, But if they get it from, you could even mention in your DM. You could say, look, I sent this to 2 of your counterparts as well. Yeah, you could do that too, right? But that's it. That's why you're not getting responses on LinkedIn. Is you're just like another person saying, hey, I think I can be good at account management. Will you meet with me? No, show me that you actually know what the hell my company does, what you actually think, again, that you actually even know what it would be like to be in CS at Mixpanel. Do all of you know what G2 is, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes? No? No. Okay. So G2 is the largest site for software reviews. Okay. So if I go to G2 here, let's just type in Mixpanel since you were, at least you're at Seamless Docs, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there are, for Seamless Docs, okay, here you go. Here's a competition, right? Here's who they're up against, DocuSign, right? Does this look familiar to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I'm going to go and I'm going to say, look, to be in customer success, I'm sure we're constantly under assault at the enterprise level from companies like DocuSign and, et cetera. And then companies like EverSign, PandaDoc, and HelloSign are kind of nipping at our heels from some of the more SMB. Where I think I can bring value to this is in my previous roles, I've been a player that's serving both people. I'm not 100% sure if this is this, but based on that, I think I can be a really good fit, and I really understand the space quite a bit. I've been on G2 for 5 seconds, right? Yeah. Reviews. So, and I just want to put this in perspective for you. I don't know how many there are for Seamless, but you can see DocuSign has 1,400 reviews. EverSign has 1,200 reviews. Yeah, it's like Seamless isn't even in the conversation. They have reviews. Why am I not seeing the reviews for? Maybe Seamless Docs just don't even have any reviews, which is really sad. But but it doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
again, like I would use this here. So same thing, like let's go to Mixpanel. Again, Mixpanel has 265 reviews. All right, so they've actually done some stuff optimizing their page, just so you know. Like this is what it looks like when you do that. So they've got product information, reviews, etc. So you can go and again, whether it's the current company you're looking at, then you can start to see some of the reviews here, right down here. And then there's a way that you can go in top rated alternatives, Heap and Pendo, right? And then, yep, see all the Mixpanel alternatives. Number 1 is Heap. Number 2 is Pendo, CleverTap, Google Analytics, Adobe, right? So I'm sure these all look familiar to you, Jordan.
Yep.
Right? So again, I go and I look, okay, well, it looks like Heap is doing this. This is somebody talking about Mixpanel as a part of this review. So what do you list like? Heap's UI might be a lot cleaner than Mixpanel's, but it's two-way street. Cleaner UI means it's more time consuming to build, more complex. Fuck, boom. It's exactly what I would do. I'd say, hey, look, I've read the reviews on G2 from why people choose Heap, etc. It sounds like there's some, like people enjoy the UI of some of these other platforms, but the simplicity. I think, what I'm really strong at as an account manager is working with organizations, like working with customers to help to make sure that they find the right solution, not just the next slick tool. So I've been on Mixpanel now for, I don't know, 4 minutes, and I've got my message. So now I want you to imagine sending that as a DM, right? What do you think is going to cut through the noise? You started to think. It shows me, I'm like, wow, Jordan's smart. She's thinking about it. She's thinking about, she's just not hitting send all on resumes. Like she actually took the time to think about it. So there you go.
Love it.
This is
Wish
where
you were on stage right now. This is gold. I'm like,
yeah, well, you're recording it, so we got to make sure we'll share this. We got to make sure it gets out there. But that's it. Again, like it's tough to stand out right now, right? And so I think you guys got to do everything you can to give yourself a leg up. So all right, Justin, let's hop on over to you, my friend. Oh, also at Samsara, back in currently or previously was there for 9 months.
Yep, just laid off as part of the COVID. They laid off 300 folks, mostly the industrial division. They kept all
Makes
their
sense. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, there. By the way, here's the correct link for Samsara.
Yeah, I changed it.
If you're looking for it. So yeah, and I mean, so tell me, man. So you got this job at Samsara. So tell me, like, what's been the difficult, component for you? Like, what's been the I guess, like, what do you feel like has held you back?
Yeah, so I've been in sales for a while, and I've started in the steel industry doing process improvement sales. Then I moved to automation with Honeywell and Rockwell. Worked there for years. Worked my way up to being a global strategic account manager covering Chevron and Chevron Phillips, and was comfortable in that role. Wasn't even looking for a new position, but Samsara lured me away after months of trying to get me to come join. And they lured me away because their technology was innovative, the company was agile, the culture was exciting. And so I joined Samsara and moved to an enterprise account executive role. It was great. Yeah. But then COVID happened and they had this layoff. So now I'm looking to get into another tech company and avoid the automation space. Because I could get hired by GE or Eaton or Siemens or any of those companies like tomorrow. Right. But I don't want to go back there. And so the challenge has been for me, I've been getting a lot of responses and a lot of engagement, but they don't see a SaaS background. And when they don't see SaaS, even though Rockwell, their software has been subscription-based for some time, Samsara has a SaaS model for their cloud dashboards.
Why don't I see that? Why isn't that in your profile? Why is that in your?
Isn't that what I said?
That's what he said, and I said, "Yep, I got to add that in there." Then
you need to, you need to. If you do have that experience, how am I supposed to see that? Like again, you're really putting a lot of work on me as a recruiter or as somebody else to try to figure that out.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. My original. So I guess the reason I didn't have it, and I'll put it in for sure because that was brought to my attention. The reason I didn't have it is SaaS is so common. It seems odd to me that hiring managers are kind of holding it as this golden thing that if you don't have, experience selling it, you can't possibly, defend against objections. Like everybody uses SaaS.
Yeah, dude, but it is what it is, dude.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
what
can go and hate it all you want. I think it's bullshit too, but it just is what it is. It's lazy. It's sloppy. It's lazy. It's lazier for me to be like, well, this person doesn't exactly fit this mold of this, and this, which actually excludes a lot of people. And they couldn't actually be successful because of X, Y, and Z. So I think, look, man, I would just make sure you're highlighting this about the fact that your job was around a software sale. There's nothing in here that shows me that whether it's your understanding of software, you're listing out, the softwares that you used in your day-to-day. It just feels like there's a real opportunity for you right there to do that.
Okay.
Same thing up here. As a new business maintaining engineering industrial automation. Again, like you're really highlighting, that you haven't touched this since you went to Samsara. You got to update this, man. Same feedback for Jordan, Lucy, you guys have got to update this. Same thing. I don't have a lot of common connections with either of you. So, you guys have got to expand your network, spend 50 minutes, spend 25, 30 minutes connecting with new people every day. Like this is how it is. And then, just kind of same feedback for you here. So you're still sharing Samsara stuff?
No, that isn't from Samsara. That was from
Yeah. Never just, these are more LinkedIn tips. Stop resharing posts. Like the reason that you're getting no likes and no comments is LinkedIn's not showing this post to anybody. Because LinkedIn, when a post comes in and it has a link in it, LinkedIn, and it sends people off LinkedIn, LinkedIn's not a fan. I mean, candidly, even it does the same thing for articles a little bit. But long story short, it always puts your insights in here. So even if you are going to share it, make sure you talk about it like, hey, look, in sales and in software sales, here's how we have to adapt in 2020 post-COVID. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to read the whole article from McKinsey, check it in the comments. You need to be the expert. This doesn't tell me shit about Justin. When you're producing content, and the good part is, guys, text-based posts over-index. So you don't have to get all crazy with it. Like, again, Jordan, you saw that firsthand, right? Text-only posts over-index on LinkedIn. Then video, then images. So for us now, I mean, we're pretty just heavy. It's either video or it's text. So resharing posts, it's just getting you no juice here. You want to be seen by these people, right?
I think that's probably just carryover from previous roles.
Of course, man.
At Rockwell, as a global oil and gas expert, that's what most of my network connections are. So they would see my posts, right? They would see me because I'm in their network.
That's right.
They would say, oh, look, he knows what's happening with Australia LNG.
That's right.
So I got to.
But that's not who you are anymore.
Yeah.
Like that was who you were. Now you're you want to do something different. So you gotta make it easy for me to see that. Like you gotta make it. That's the kind of the feedback for all of you. It's just make it easy for me to see these skills. Make it easy for me to see that software. Make it, that this is a part of you. Because it's kind of interesting. As I kind of scroll through your experience, I'm like, all right, man, wow, this guy's at Rockwell for a while. This looks like a pretty big deal, Chevron. And he's just, then he's like an enterprise account executive. I'm like,
Well, yeah. And for me, that's going to be a challenge too, right? Because most of these tech companies, unless you're going to like Amazon or Microsoft, they don't even have strategic account managers. They have like mid-market team and enterprise executive team. They don't have like these global, because they're not big enough yet, or they don't have the customer base or whatever. So that's a question I have received, like why the step backwards?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, be smart about it. Again, don't make me have to think about it. How can you reposition enterprise account executive, right? Can you change it? Can you, like major accounts, Samsara, like, can you, it's the same, you're saying the same thing. I don't ever want you guys to lie or anything, but if it makes it easier for someone's brain to comprehend, then, and I know that I'm saying the exact same thing, then I wouldn't. And then again, you got to change your headline too. I mean, like, look, you want a job in SaaS? Nothing says this guy doesn't know SaaS like an oil rig. Like nothing says like, wow, this guy must sell software like an oil rig. So you got to clean this up, make it about this. Your headshot's okay. It could be a little cleaner. It's obviously like a picture of you and some boys, and like your head, you just chopped yourself out there.
Yeah, I just chopped it out.
Yeah, I know. Why, let's get a little, yeah, you can step yours up a little bit. It can still be fun, but yeah, again, think of what you could put back here that would be like that. Again, like if you all go to Canva, like you can create it. Like I'll even show you, like here, let me show you someone on our team. So he's got this thing. I think Allie might have one too. Let me see if she's got one. And these are full-time people at Skaled. Something to think about.
You guys got to think of yourselves as a brand. I had a question kind of related to that too.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned that hiring managers are obviously making an impression of you, and they come on and they kind of take a look and they see your brand on LinkedIn. A lot of times what they're comparing you to are what they think is like the ideal candidate. So someone who's like ex Oracle or ex SAP or ex, whatever, like that's who we want. To go a level deeper, how do like Lucy and Jordan and Justin get past that?
Well, I mean, like what I was just trying to get at, like that's going to be a big part of it. Like what we just talked about around helping like to position your experience to where I look at your companies and I'm like, oh, the people at Oracle I'm looking at, their jobs say something very similar, So yeah, I'm just thinking on the fly a little bit here. You could go, I could do a LinkedIn search for Oracle account managers or global account managers, and I could see how they describe their job and maybe adapt, add in the parts that are relevant. I don't know. You could try that. Yeah. So I just think I would know what they're doing and then see what I want to add or not add.
That's I think that actually is probably how a lot of companies will position themselves and looking at their like competitive landscape. How are their competitors positioning themselves? What are some good things you can take? What are some ways you can make yourself different? And you guys can do the same thing with other candidates that you might be competing against. The other kind of question that I had as well, as you guys are going through your search, so like segmentation in the sales world means like exactly who your like ideal customer profile is. For Lucy and Jordan and Justin, like should they be narrowing their search to like a specific group of companies or groups of companies based on what you know about them so far?
Narrow is always better, meaning like I want to hire someone who I know is focused, not someone who wants any job. Now, you don't need to narrow your so I guess my answer is probably no. But when I get the interview or when I send the DM, they're gonna feel like I want their industry. Like when that goes back to that G2 stuff, right? So they're going to think that that's top of mind for me. So I don't think you have to necessarily narrow your focus. For me, it's like if I can't understand what the product does by reading their website, I'm not applying for it. If I can't get into it and I'm not excited about it, then I'm not applying for it. I think the key is just how you represent yourself in that first conversation, Hytham. That the kiss of death for me is like, yeah, well, look, I'm really open to sales or account management or this. I'm like, cool, you don't know what the fuck you want to do and you don't have a career path. So wonderful. Like it's an immediate ding. I mean, not immediate. That's not true. It's like it definitely is a step back. I'm not going to ding you necessarily if you're stellar, but it's also I'm not excited about it. I want someone who knows what the hell they want and has an idea of what they're doing with their career and their life and where they want to go. I don't want someone who's like, yeah, I'm just like looking for a job and like if it's in sales stuff, in software stuff, then like yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? Versus the same candidate comes in is like, look, I'm really interested in the data and analytics space. I read these 3 reports about what that space is going to do in the next 5 years. And this is why I love account management, want to build a career here as an account manager. Who are you going to fucking hire? Not you. And I think you guys have got to be deliberate. So I think you can go wide, but in the interview, you need to show them that I know what this is an intentional step in my career because I know what I'm trying to do with my career.
And if, let's say I was someone who didn't necessarily know a lot about, and that's right on, like if I was someone who didn't know a lot about SaaS and I was looking to get into it, obviously SaaS spans across a lot of different industries. Are there certain industries where, maybe someone that didn't like completely match the profile maybe gets a little bit more leeway than others?
Well, the bigger the company is. I mean, if you stop looking at early stage growth companies, bigger companies have had people with massive different walks of life be successful. So maybe not GE Siemens big, but, not, like sales, like some of these other companies, right? Like Salesforce or companies that might have a few hundred people in their sales org. So I think those are companies that have already taken chances, seen success. And again, I'm using the word take chances, Justin, just because like that's kind of how people, see things, So from a high level, slightly bigger companies are going to be, I think, more open to a diverse set of experiences and skills.
That's been my experience as well. So I have traction with Microsoft and Amazon on global roles and have already had discussions, and those are ongoing. But I've been looking more at like those samsaras, right? Like tech startup type companies. And you're dead on. When it gets to that space, they're a little more risk adverse when they see my background and say they like the samsara piece, but beyond that, they're like, well, what SaaS experience have you had? We'd prefer if you were an Oracle guy, right? Type of thing.
Well, you have the conversation, it sounds like, at that point, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like Jake is saying, like you have to.
Yeah, I've talked to lots of folks. Like, I mean, I've talked to, Datadog and Talkdesk and ServiceNow and Workday and tons of companies, and still have traction with a few, but a lot of them have died off after, because that first call is typically with like a talent acquisition, or to your point, somebody who's not the sales manager, right? It's somebody who does the screening. And then they say, well, you don't really have the background, but I'll pass it along and see. And then I just get an email back, right? Automated response. It's like,
well, I mean, I haven't sat in on your interview process, and that's for all of you, right? I haven't heard you, but some of the advice I'm giving you in the interview, are you showing up to the interview prepared? Like that's my number one piece of advice. Are you showing up that you've done a due diligence on this company? I've already talked to 3, like, again, if you're trying to change careers or up level, you guys got to work 4 times harder. Showing up, like if you really want to work, like you're gonna have to bust your ass and be prepared. And again, I don't know how you all are showing up, so I'm not like calling anyone out necessarily, but what I will say is, like, if you're showing up to that interview process and you don't know what that company does, how they make money inside and out, you're definitely not getting through. As opposed to, because then I can talk the talk about, look, I mean, the tough part about, doing XYZ is XYZ, and then you can ask thoughtful questions. So look, so how do they compete against XYZ? Like, where do they fit competitively? When I've worked, for my previous software sales, when the market's like this, and then the recruiter's like, I don't know what this guy's talking about because I really don't know any of the answers to these questions, but he obviously knows this space well enough. So I'm going to, I think this could be interesting. But it's like,
I love that.
How much work are you making the recruiter do? I would just always think of it that way. How much work are you making the recruiter do to find out the real you versus like showing up prepared, showing up, doing your due diligence. And look, it's just the same thing you did as a Chevron global account manager. You'd find a new department in Hong Kong and you'd try to fucking research who to go connect with. And you find a new department in, sub-Saharan Africa. You know what I mean? Like it's the same shit. If you want to close the deal, you want to get the job you want, you got to put in the work, or just take another account executive job,
Right.
So, I mean, that's my number one advice. I mean, this thing that I showed you all, that's how I've got every job I interviewed for my first 3 jobs because I did that. I was the only person that showed up with remotely even close to anything like it, right? Like I showed up to my first job when I got a job at the Tampa Bay Rays with a business plan straight out of college. Great. I just thought about, well, what will it be like to sell tickets in Tampa? What are my ideas? I'm like, oh, there's a large Hispanic population. Oh, I don't see a lot on the website. Boom, boom, boom. Here's an opportunity I think we have. Then I got the job with the Coyotes, 35 people in a group interview. They hired me, 1 person, right? Why? I showed up with a business plan, right? My first sales leadership job. Woman had been there for 2.5 years. I was there for 3 months. Guess what? I brought a territory plan. Hey, great. Here's what a territory did. Here's what I think the areas of opportunity are in the Pacific Northwest by state, by sector. Here's how I'm going to rearrange the team, and here's how I'm going to do this. I got the job. I worked. I put in the work. I didn't expect the manager. I wanted there to be no objections. Like that's what I'm shooting for. Is I've diffused all your objections because I've already talked about it, and you have no point but to get me to that next step. And so that's, I think all of you just have to have that level of, like that level of like hustle and like grind, going toward this stuff. So.
Right. So kind of going back, you know, from everything that you've said and just tying our experience in, you know, with everything going on, you know, something that I have stuck in my mind is you said the only people that know what's going on with you are you know, your parents and everything. So do you like kind of oppose saying like seeking new opportunities? Or are you just like, I'm my own brand, this is what I do, and this is what I'm, you know, looking to do for your company?
Well, are you talking about when you reach out to them? Are you talking about like when you DM or like posting on LinkedIn? What are you thinking?
Like in the headlines.
Both like with the headline and, you know, with about me, like I've seen so many different things and about like, you know, seeking new opportunities, like, you know, what I feel like do you feel like that's pretty broad, or do you think keep it as like your personal brand, just saying like, this is what I'm passionate about, relationship building. I love, you know, growing,
Yes.
you know, I love growing relationships and, you know, building business for,
Yeah, I that's what I would
okay.
do.
Okay.
Again, kind of like focused on them, not necessarily focused on you. Like
Mhm.
seeking new opportunities is good for you. It's not necessarily good for the people
Them.
you're trying to help.
Okay.
So what are you going to do with those opportunities?
Yeah, I would be, I probably wouldn't know. I
Okay.
probably would keep it like, this is who I am. But again, because when I DM you or reach out, and it's okay in your post, like in your post, you could mention it. Like, I'm super excited to find my next account manager role. You know what I mean? Like, you
Mhm.
could mix it into some of your posts easy.
Right.
So that's what I would probably do. I'd probably do something like that.
Okay.
You know, I'd mix in, you know, you could probably just let people know when you put out content.
Okay.
When we chatted, Lucy, I remember you mentioned Salesforce, and you mentioned that you would be interested in working with them and kind of going into that process, but it was like, where do I even begin? Sort of, it can be intimidating for a lot of people, because you know, Jake mentioned like a lot of these bigger companies with structure will have the opportunity to bring in people with more diverse backgrounds, et cetera. Can we maybe just dissect that a little bit, Jake? Like, should people be intimidated by Salesforce and HubSpot and, you know, even like Chorus and all these kind of like very big brands, very
Like
category
Tableau.
leader type?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Tableau.
I would put Chorus. Chorus is a little bit
I
different
don't know. Yeah.
tier than those other ones.
Sure.
No, but again, guys, it's like, are you ready to fucking lace them up and work? What I would do on any of these companies, step one is if I was job seeking right now, I would go buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Very first thing I would do. Pay $75 out of my pocket month to month. No questions asked. Why? I can quickly build lists of companies, job titles, connect with people. So what I would do, I go buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I create a list in LinkedIn Sales Navigator that had the top 8 companies and the job titles of the boss's boss of the people that I want, director of blah, whatever it is. I then every day would connect with however many of them that were there, right? And then I would then start to DM those people based on what I just talked about. And I guarantee there's a 0% chance I don't get an interview with every single one of those fucking companies. 0%. Because I'm just going to keep going. And I'm reaching out to the hiring man. Like, I'm not going to stop. Like, if I want to get a job at Salesforce, I'm going to keep DMing managers and direct. You know how many directors there are at Salesforce? 400.
Yeah.
400.
It's going to take a while. No,
but
for
I'm
sure.
just going to DM the ones that
I
connect with
wouldn't
me,
stop.
right? So yeah, like I'm just going to DM the ones that connect with me. So then you're a manager at Salesforce in this relationship management group, and I'm going to have that DM and ready. Look, why I'm excited about your vertical within Salesforce is this, this, and this. Based on my experience doing this and this is why I think I'm that next account manager. I know you have an open role. You know, let's set up time next week to discuss. And I would just, that's the only way to do it.
For me too, something that's been successful is just a lot of my friends are in tech and they've gotten jobs over the course of the last couple of years, but they've talked to so many different recruiters. So my friends just literally went back through their emails, CC'd me and the recruiter, even if they talked like a year ago. And it's like, this is my friend. She's looking for a new job. She's an all-star. And they have to respond because, you know, they kind of look like an asshole if they don't, right?
Yeah,
so,
no, I love that. I think that's
that
super
was
smart.
like, especially places like Salesforce that are bigger. Like I would never just send off a job. Like I would never just send off, you know, an application into oblivion and waste my time doing that. So
that's right.
That's been really, really helpful for me.
I think that will be. And again, I'm going to connect strategically with people. I'm going to look at my second degree connections. But again, I think the key is, and then if that doesn't work, I'm just starting to put in the work. You know, like that's just what I'm going to go do. I'm just going to start to connect with, if I want to work at Salesforce, I'm going to go get that job at Salesforce and I'm going to figure it out. And again, and I'm just telling you, LinkedIn offers you an unparalleled access to these people, the ability to connect with them, engage. Again, and what I would probably do, again, so Jordan, you're going to write that article, then I'd start connecting with all of them. Then I would say, look, here's why I'm excited about the relationship manager at Sales. I literally wrote these 2 articles about successful relationship management in CRM SaaS. Boom, they're going to respond because nobody is putting in the work. That's what I'm saying. It's actually, in my opinion, right now as a job seeker, I think it's actually pretty easy to stand out because nobody's putting in work. And they're wondering why they're not getting callbacks, and they're wondering why they're not but it's not going to be easy. It's not as easy as it's harder than it's ever been before too, for sure. It is hard, but it just means you've got to show that you want it more.
I had a question about the LinkedIn side. So
Yeah.
I have Sales Navigator and LinkedIn Premium.
Yeah, I
Back
love it.
in the day, I don't know if they still do this, but if you fired off a bunch of connection requests, the person could deny it and say they don't know you. Yeah. And if you get so many denies, you got put in the penalty box.
Yep, same thing here.
They still do that?
Yep, same thing will happen. But that's why you don't send a message. Nobody takes the time to ding people that don't send a message. Usually the people that get dinged are the people that send that shitty copy and paste message.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it. What you need to make sure you do though is you can go withdraw. So make sure you do that every 2 weeks. You can't have more than 3,000 pending. Like how LinkedIn decides how many people you can connect with in a day is how many people are accepting it.
Okay.
I guess the ratio of how many people you are connected to too has something.
And how many people say that I don't know this person. Most people don't. Most people just hit ignore. But again, before you start to do this play, Justin, I need you to go fix your fucking LinkedIn. Fix the headshot. All of you. You're not go fix your profiles first, and then if you're already using LinkedIn, this is your public persona. So go fix that first, and then start running this play next week.
Guys, I need to jump off. I have an interview in 3 minutes. So
good luck.
Good luck.
I hope you're doing your research, Jordan. I hope you show them that you're prepared. You're serious about it.
Yes.
All right. Cool, everyone.
Thank you all so much.
Bye. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, cool. I hope there's some helpful stuff in there for y'all. I hope there's some good takeaways. But yeah, getting the right job is work, man. It always is. Yeah. It always has been. Even in flush economies. So, just put in the work.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'd say, and this is something that has become apparent because a lot of people in our network are getting jobs. People are getting hired, and you guys will start meeting some of them. But the one thing that really stands out about them, besides that they have all their LinkedIn branding and all of the content and all that kind of stuff, once they get that, then it's about just keep going. There was one person that didn't get any responses for 3 or 4 weeks, and he was constantly sending 10, 20, 30 messages a day. And then all of a sudden, within the second week, it just started flooding his inbox, and he was getting hit with intros and referrals and calendar invites. And it really was that extra, 3-4 messages there at the end that just made the difference. So don't get discouraged when it doesn't work the first few times. Right. It's very likely that it won't.
That's right. It takes time, and your message is going to get better. You're going to hone your story more, it's just reps, especially when you're changing stuff, you're new to this stuff, and you got your last job because they wanted you, so the interview process is probably a lot different, and you've got your last job. That's how a lot of people got their last job pre-COVID is a company wanted them or poached them, and so you haven't interviewed for a while, so you're just sharpening it up again.
Yeah, I think it's a unique time too to actually really focus on what you want.
You should.
I think because when it's you're so I didn't even take a break when I went from job to job, and so now this is the first time ever, and I'm okay, and I'm talking to my family and my friends, and they're why don't you just really focus on what you want to do and what you're good at. And so it's for the first time I'm deep breaths, sort of like you, Justin, what you said, you didn't want to take a step back, and you could go to any company tomorrow. I feel that way with certain companies, but that would be creating the same song and dance, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Back in that same boring environment, not in the exciting tech space. So I don't want to do that.
Don't overhype it, man. But
we'll get it done.
It's much
Thank you so much, Jake.
I know that, man. We've got clients in that sector, so I know it all too well. So, All right, guys, thank you so much. If you need anything, just DM me. And, you know, my biggest advice to you is, and again, I wonder if either of you will do this, or, you know, she jumps, so she won't get it, the offer, is if you look at it, look at I've got a lot of connections in sales and marketing, a lot. And so if there's any companies, just DM me. If you guys DM me 5 companies you're trying to get into, if I can help, I'm here to help. So just take me up on it, actually do it, right? Take me up on it. All right.
Love it.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Thank you guys.
All right, good.
All right,
Have a great day.
bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.